Fundamentalist religions often have a weird relationship with the fictional genres of fantasy, horror, and to a lesser extent science fiction. Every generation of fundamentalist kids seems to grow up with that one or more things that are popular in the rest of culture, but are taboo to them because they are demonic or tools of Satan. In the 2000s, it was Harry Potter. In the 1990s, it was Pokemon. And in the 80s, it was things like Dungeons and Dragons. Even something as innocent as the Smurfs can be suspect. There are popular urban legends among the Jehovah's Witnesses that illustrate this point. One story goes that a Jehovah's Witness child in the 80s takes a Smurf doll into a meeting and starts to listen to the speaker. The person giving the talk is effective and eloquent and filled with Jehovah's righteous wisdom. The Smurf doll, which is infested with demons, begins to fidget until finally it can't take it anymore. It jumps out of the little girl's arms, screams, "I've had enough of this shit!" and storms out of the building. Everyone else is terrified, looking on, and just fearful that the demon was among them. There are other urban legends involving images of Smurfs jumping off of curtains and demonized Smurfs terrorizing kids at night. It all sounds absurd, but for the superstitious fundamentalists for whom demonic powers are very real, it is all believable. Sadly, with the Smurfs movie that just came out recently, we didn't get a repeat of this. I guess the Watchtower learned its lesson and it keeps quiet about it now, but whatever. The strange thing about this all, though, is that the Bible outright condemns the practice of sorcery and spirit conjuring, but many Bible-believing Christians still enjoy the fantasy genre because they believe it's all made up. I know people who enjoyed reading fantasy even though they were born-again Christians. But then there's like the middle ground. There are the people who accept some fantasy but outright ban others. This is where my family fell growing up. I wouldn't have been allowed to play Dungeons and Dragons or other fantasy RPGs growing up, but we were absolutely allowed to read the Narnia books. Despite the fact that it involves characters from pagan mythology and has witches in it, the Christian overtones of the Narnia books are very overt, so for some reason that makes them acceptable. Because authors like C.S. Lewis and his friend J.R.R. Tolkien wove such biblically acceptable themes into their work and were apologists for the Judeo-Christian worldview outside of their fiction, writings by them for some reason were allowed. I don't know. For some reason, just because they were Christians, they could overcome much of the resistance to the fantasy genre that exists in much of fundamentalist Christianity. But why is that? Why should that be? Reflecting on my childhood, I've seen the absurdity in much of what I was taught. There was this concern spread by Bob Larson and others that reading about magic and supernatural beings would make children interested in demonism. Jack Schick practically made his fortune off of this. But then I thought, wait a minute. As a child, I read a lot, and I mean a lot, of ancient mythology from all over the world. I particularly liked Greek and Norse myth. Yet I am not, nor have I ever been, a polytheist. Why is that? Also, why is it that millions of children played Dungeons and Dragons in the 80s, played Pokemon in the 90s, and read Harry Potter in the 2000s, but very few of them have become occult practitioners? And just like that, the logic collapsed like a house of cards. So much of what I had been afraid of as a kid, and so much of what I'd been prohibited from viewing as a kid, it didn't make sense that I was forbidden from them anymore. We should see more tangible evidence that enjoying fantasy stories turns people into demonized magic practitioners. And anyway, why should Lewis be more acceptable when he mixes Christianity with pagan beliefs in his Narnia series? Shouldn't that be more offensive? Oh wait, these are the same people who decorate trees and wreaths in their home during December and fight tooth and nail to keep Christ in the winter solstice celebrations. Never mind.